Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Bob Miglani, and today we've got a terrific guest, and we want to share some really valuable insight with you today. If you're a doctor, I deal with doctors all day long, and doctors are increasingly disillusioned. They're disillusioned. They're distressed. They're disgusted almost with medicine and they don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed, and I feel it. I feel that vibe, that energy, and so we're gonna get to the bottom of that, and we're gonna play a little jujitsu on that disillusionment of doctors. And I've got a terrific guest and someone who's gonna guide us through it all. His name is Dr. Vikram Raya. Vikram, how are you?
I'm
Officially
doing
welcome.
great. I'm doing great, Bob. Thanks for allowing me to be part of your ecosystem and all the inspiring doctors that you get to work with. And I know you're an inspirational character yourself with, all your background and experience, but I agree with you. There's something has to be done with the current state of healthcare in this country, and the backbone of healthcare is doctors.
Yes.
And if we don't take care of our own, and we don't take care of people who really built the medical system in the United States for the last 100 years,
Yes.
then we're doing a disservice. And so I agree. Let's address the elephant in the room today.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Let's do that. Thank you for that. So, Vikram, Dr. Rai, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get to here to where you are? Tell us your history. Tell us who you are a little bit.
Absolutely. Look, I had no intention of trying to be this doctor-preneur or whatever we were calling doctors who go on the other side of the business aisle, if you will. But I was really, really focused, just like many of you, right? You guys studied, you guys went to undergrad, you guys went to medical school. And the goal was like, hey, laser focus. We had blinders on. We're like, how do we achieve, our goals? We want to go into this honest and decent profession. We want to serve our patients well. We want to earn a handsome income and have an impact, right? That was the premise. That was the thesis.
Mhm.
Some things changed, right? Once we started practicing. So like I had six people in my family who had heart attacks, so I ended up going to cardiology.
Wow.
It was a conscious choice that I wanted to have an impact on that. And I know Indian Americans as well. I mean, we have smaller coronaries, and so there's a personal passion, if you will,
Yeah.
to address that part of the medicine spectrum. But when I got in, I noticed the people who I look up to, the attendings, the doctors, the joy was gone, Bob. I'll be honest, the joy was gone. They were they were consistently trying to figure out how to optimize their income versus enjoying the craft or having that impact that they really initially wanted to get into. And so it was a little bit rattling as I was a young physician getting into this. And then the handcuffs started tightening, like insurance reimbursements cut down year after year after year.
Mhm.
Some people were trying to be innovative. Hey, let me do some cash based this, but no one had a reasonable way to attract those kind of patients. And then um, you're given autonomy is taken away. So I was part of a private practice group. I had to ask for permission for vacations, ask for permission to take time off.
Mhm.
As the youngest member, I had to do the most amount of call. And
Mhm.
then, it was just, I was like, wait, and I'm supposed to do this for the next 30 to 40 years?
Hmm.
And on top of that, we were overtrained and underleveraged. So my income was capped because the more hours I worked, that's the income I earned. The moment I took vacation, I earned less.
Mhm.
And so it seems like we're on this hamster wheel and no one has given us another option. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Amazing, amazing. So you are a cardiologist and you saw this early on. And you went through your practice, your private practice, and I think people go through that reflection of like, oh my gosh, they ask all these questions in their head. They're like, holy cow, they do what you did, this reflection moment almost, and then they kind of get back to work. Elbow grease, shoulder to the grindstone, as doctors do. Doctors are really intentional and they're just pushed through because you have to. Years of studying and understanding science, human nature, biology, all of that, right? And then bringing all that together to help a patient. So tell me what happened. What went like? What made you really shift and say, and then what did you do? What did you do?
Yeah.
What happened as a
Yeah.
result of your journey? Tell me about that.
Absolutely. And it's probably the similar journey that even your wife, Dr. Shafali, has gone through, and many of the doctors who are probably listening. But you get this point where like enough is enough. I'm gonna break these handcuffs.
Mhm.
Yes, they've given me a nice car, two nice cars, a nice house, enough where on the outside it appears I've hit the gold. Excuse me, I'm successful. But inside I was unfulfilled. I was overworked,
Mm.
and I feel like I had more to contribute, but I had no place to do that. And so I started taking matters in my own hands. One, I made a declaration. So that's what I suggest everyone make a declaration at some point. Hey, this is exactly what my ideal life looks like. And what that looked like was practicing somewhat, multiple streams of income, time,
Mhm.
freedom, health, vitality, time with my children, all of it. I'm like, people are like, oh, that's not possible.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there is, right? And so I started educating myself. So because I didn't know much, look, they don't give you an MBA in medical school. They don't give you
Yeah.
how to become efficient. They don't give you how to use leverage, how to use all these things. Medical school is essentially to create the product of a worker bee physician
Yeah.
to, take care of patients, which is great. They do a good job of that, but nothing more.
Mm.
And we expect more when we get out and we get disillusioned. So it was that education. So I started learning about real estate, learning about stocks, learning about investing. And I tried different things. None of them, all of them didn't work, but I realized that there is a way.
Mm.
And one of the first things I did was I started creating alternative streams of income. So I created a real estate portfolio first with single family homes, and eventually I got into multifamily homes, and then I got a business partner, and all this was while I was working full time, Bob. I was working full time.
Wow.
I was still really passionate about my patients. I just thought, hey, look, instead of going on guys trips and just
Yeah.
golfing the whole day, I'm like, hey, I'm going to use
Yeah.
some of this time to learn about
Yeah.
these other things. And so what happened was I started having some income coming outside of medicine, which I call non-clinical income.
Mm.
And so that gave me the financial bravery, the financial courage to say, hey, let me start cutting back a little bit. And then, I realized, hey, what do I want? How do I want to practice? And I was like, hey, I want to practice more cash based, more concierge, more boutique, where instead of me putting stents in, putting people on statins,
Yeah.
putting people on blood pressure medications,
Yeah.
is there a way to take it off? And so I got trained in functional medicine, which is more of a reversal protocol and lifestyle based medicine. And I was like, all right, but that's risky. Well, the real estate was giving me the financial courage to do so. So then I started transition. And so I had my clinic after in 2018, I had a big
Mhm.
exit in real estate.
Mm.
It gave me the courage to produce my passion, which was to help reverse disease. So I had a boutique concierge clinic. And then during the pandemic, another opportunity came about.
Mm.
And that was a lot of physicians were really upset. Hey, I can't work. They're telling me that COVID, I have to do everything tele. My clinic is shut down. I can't market. What do I do? And so I started just getting on the phone, helping people, talking to people, consulting a little bit.
Mm.
And lo and behold, that became another company. And so that was my coaching company, which is called Limitless MD. So nowadays, I wear just two hats. I really focus on the real estate, which is Viking Capital, which is a real estate syndication company, and then Limitless MD, which is my high performance coaching company. But really, my passion is similar to Bob's.
Mm.
We want to elevate the doctors in the country
Mhm.
to where they get
Yeah.
financial freedom. They become business savvy. They don't have to be an MBA or anything, but they get business savvy, and their clinical work becomes an asset because their clinic becomes an asset.
I like that. I like that. And it's using leverage. I mean, it's using here, right?
Yes.
Rather than going in exam after exam after exam.
Yes.
One of the challenges, I love your story. Vikram, I love it. It's very similar. I mean, Shefali followed a similar path, and she's still on that path, I think. And it's really about looking at saying to yourself, all right, you know what? I'm frustrated. I'm dissatisfied. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm interested. but then I go back to the default mode. And so the question is, how can doctors, Vikram, so doctors who are listening to this and saying, okay, how can I change? How can I pivot? What should I be doing? And that reflection moment is very important, but you must take those actions. You must, in a way, you got to kind of like decline the golf trips and sort of start working on yourself and be curious a little bit, right? Like, because it's not just natural. Someone says, here, doctor, I've got amazing opportunity for you to change your life completely, right? No one's going to do that, give it to you on a silver platter. It's kind of, you got to do the work a little bit, right? But going back to this, like, so first of all, how do you do it? And then second of all, I mean, my sense is that you are fulfilling your potential now more so than ever and doing more good for more people. And financially, you know, you're probably doing well. So you're happier. So I guess, is that true? Are you happier now, Vikram, than you were?
Oh, I, happiness is a loaded word. So
Yeah.
let's use the word like where I feel satisfied, I feel content, I feel peaceful, which
Mm.
is very unique. I don't think many doctors could ever say they're peaceful,
Yeah.
right? I would say I feel like my work is valued.
Yes.
I feel like I'm in my zone of genius.
I love
And
it.
so if that comes to the conventional word of happiness, maybe I am,
Yeah.
but and it's not, I feel like I'm having more impact because I'm helping the healers.
Yeah.
I'm I'm helping magnify, like, as a physician, you probably help, 10, 5,000, 10,000 patients in your life, and that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can have even a greater impact. Like me and you've written some books.
Yeah.
We've been able to get on stages. We've been able to help impact. And then, each physician that we impact can probably impact so many people. So the ripple effect is great. So look, wealth is more than just money, and happiness is more than just, taking time off, right? I
Mm.
really believe in something called the foundational wealth, which I want to share with your
Let's do that.
audience.
Let's do that.
I think there's these five foundational wealths. Obviously, economic is one of them. Yes, I agree with you guys. But so is vitality.
Mm.
So is sort of the inner wealth or the mindset wealth that I know you guys have really steeped yourselves into. Career wealth, where you're enjoying your craft. There's mastery of your craft, Bob. And
Mhm.
then finally is relationships.
Mhm.
Relationships with your children, relationships with your parents, relationships with your spouse, your intimate partner,
Mhm.
relationships with your business partners, and like friends. Uh, if you have all these things, it's more of a holistic wealth, a holistic success,
Yes.
which doctors sometimes sacrifice for the dollar sign, right?
That's right.
And let's get tactical,
Mm.
Bob. We've been talking a little bit high level. I want to make sure I add value to your audience. And
Yeah.
so, number one thing is this, guys. Let's figure out your doctor buyback rate. It's a
Mhm.
concept that I've developed. It's in my book, The Perfect Week Formula for Doctors, which I'd be happy to give to all your audience members if they just reach out. But really, what it is find out what your annual income is, divided by 2,000 if you typically work a full day, full work week. But if you work more than that, you can use that. But so that, like, for example is $250,000 divided by 2,000 hours. That's how many hours you work,
Mhm.
and that's your actual average dollar rate that you work. But then you divide it by four because you want to be a little bit conservative, because that would be a very high number, and you'll see where I'm going with that. So divide it by four, so that comes out to about, I don't know, like $35 an hour.
Mhm.
So anything less than that,
Mhm.
you're actually losing money if you do that kind of task.
Wow.
Those you What you want to do is you want to um, leverage those tasks to other people,
Mhm.
and you need to do things that more in your zone of genius. So admin work, email, charting,
Mhm.
cooking, cutting the grass, whatever it is. Those are things that probably you should get off your plate.
Yeah.
And if you do this over time, you start cleaning up. Wealth creation is not about addition. A lot of times it's about subtraction. You
Mhm.
want to ask the wealthiest people, the 1%, what is it that they're not doing that I am doing?
Yes.
So, and then I think that's number one. The second thing is, once you start realizing what's your rate, then you want to go through and make a list of sort of your weekly activities, and you want to sort of see, are they red, green, or yellow? Do you enjoy them? Are they green? Are they yellow where you don't mind doing them? And then are they red where, like, man, I hate this. I don't want to do this ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then I have a framework called A2D2. It sort of sounds like a Star Wars droid, but it
Yes.
stands for automate, AI, delegate, and delete. And so what we're trying to do is, hey, what are these things I can that come on? Can I automate them? You know, and guys, if certain marketing strategies you'd like to automate,
Yeah.
Hoot is the way to go, right?
Yes.
But automation, right? Uh, AI. How most physicians, I'm surprised. I talk to them. I use AI probably 7 times a day at
Yeah.
least.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
I
yeah.
talk to other doctors like, oh yeah, I just use it to like plan my
Yeah.
vacations. I'm
Yeah.
like, come
Yeah.
on,
Right.
you can do a lot more than that, baby. Okay,
Absolutely.
so AI, automate,
Yes.
and then it's delegate, right?
Yeah.
Learn to get other people on your team. You have an MA that can handle the phone calls. You have a physician assistant or nurse practitioner. You
Hmm.
have an office manager, right? Those are the people that need to take off all those tasks so you can go network with referring doctors.
Hmm.
Maybe you can innovate and come up with new ways to, new product lines or
Yep.
verticals,
Yep.
things like
Yep.
that. And then delete.
Drop insurances. Yes. Drop some insurance plans. Right. I mean,
So-
that's a big one
yeah.
that my wife, that Shafali did. It was like, she's just like, I can't do this. I'm not doing this task of taking this cheapest insurance just to get feet in the door. So it doesn't work for me. But yeah, so what else can you delete, Vikram? What are the other things?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one. But I think when people once they free up this time, they start
Yeah.
relaxing. They're like, "Oh my God, okay, now I have this." And I guarantee you guys, if you do this strategy, which I'm going to talk about in my upcoming challenge, but if you do this kind of strategy, it really frees up 10, 15, 20 hours. And I've done this for hundreds of doctors. So,
Yeah.
the doctors that say, I have no time, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Start with some of these strategies.
Yeah.
And then, and how do you know which ones to keep, which ones to delete? Use your emotions.
Mm.
High joy, high profit, do it.
Mm.
Everything else, kill and delete and delegate, right?
It's hard to let go. It's hard to let go. With doctors, it's like I had a doctor the other day I was speaking to. I was doing a training session. Vikram, what do you say to this doctor? So this doctor, and she's doing a new specialty care service in her clinic where, so she works there. She's an employee there. She's not the owner. The owner purchased a very expensive piece of equipment that would generate $1,600 in new private pay income if
Oh,
she
wow.
utilizes this device. Okay. It's for dry eye disease management. Okay. It's called an IPL, intense pulse light therapy that goes around the meibomian glands. And so she's like, well, I can't make time for those slots because I'm filling it with primary care eye exams. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, primary
So
care, how much they give you? They
so
give you
Bob, who was
$80.
saying that? Was that the
This
the
is the
the
doctor. This
employee
is the
physician or the owner?
employee physician. She's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this
Okay.
because I've got, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. You're helping the practice with the high value patient
Yeah.
in the chair in that slot versus an $80 slot. You
Yeah.
want to do an $80 slot versus a $1,600 slot? You don't have time to make for it. And so I feel like they just want to fill their schedule so as to be
So
valuable, right?
yeah, so
The
I
current,
think Bob,
that's
yeah,
my question.
I love this question. I love the
Yeah,
way you're displaying it to us. I
yeah.
think this is a question of alignment.
Mm,
I There's an opportunity here. So
yeah,
this employee or team member, look, not everyone has to be an entrepreneur.
right.
All right, they're entrepreneurs are a certain type of cat. It's a certain type of creed or a belief system in a way in a personality that works.
Mhm,
But everyone can be an entrepreneur. And
mhm,
so what I suggest is this very successful, potentially very smart team member,
mhm,
physician or whatever, can say, "Hey, I have an idea that can increase the revenue of the clinic by 20%. What if I figure out extra slots? What if we create Saturday hours? We create after hours or whatever we need to do this where or hey, maybe the NP or the PA can see the regular patients, then I'll see only the $1,600 patients.
mhm.
And I want 10% profit share until this point, and then if I hit this level, then I get 20% profit share. Now it's a win-win-win. The clinic is thriving. This person is thriving,
Yeah.
and they're trying to think outside the box.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's smart. I like the way you approached it. It's that feeling of motivation, but really understand alignment in terms of the values that you have. And you
Yes.
got to kind of know what those things are. You got to know, in a way, what you want in life. A
Yeah.
lot of times doctors go through this just work, and they don't really know what they want. Okay, they'll take a maybe a vacation or two. Tell us about, the next step. So what should, after you do this reflection,
Yep.
Vikram, as a doctor, if you're frustrated, again, if you're a doctor joining us, or if
Yeah.
you know doctors who are really frustrated and disillusioned with the state of medicine today, state of healthcare and practicing medicine, and they believe there's more to life than doing the next exam and the next exam and next exam, and you're listening in, ask a question, drop us a question, drop us a note. But I'm speaking with Vikram Raya, who has in his own life pivoted and shifted and went from that disillusioned state to now a desirable state of happiness and meaning and joy and freedom. And so we're trying to figure out how we're trying to unlock Vikram's mindset here and to be able to share his secrets with us. So Vikram, what's next? How do you go from that place of deleting things and automating things in tasks, and what comes next?
So we've talked about sort of like an audit of your time and income,
Yes.
like what, you know, you should be doing things that require the least amount of time with the that create the most amount of income for you.
Mhm.
That's important. And then if you can have your way, obviously high joy, high profit.
Yes. Yes.
After you do that, you need to learn to free up the founder or the owner, which is you, you know. And if you're not an owner, we just talked about these cases where you're a team member employee, think like an owner and one day you will become one. They'll offer you partnership, they'll make you because you've become invaluable to them.
Yes.
Anyone who becomes invaluable to an owner eventually becomes an owner.
Absolutely.
That's my experience. So now, how do you free up you? Well, AI, it would be a great way. The newest AI technologies, I think DAX, Copilot, and a lot of these AI scribes are out there.
Mhm.
That would buy back at least or gain you back another 2 to 3 hours a day. Documentation is the curse of physicians,
Yeah.
right? And I don't care if you're private, public, insurance or private, but this seems to be a challenge. So,
Mhm.
in-person scribes or AI scribes, if you're touching the keyboard, you're doing it wrong. Next, leverage physician extenders. So many doctors are afraid to pay the extra salary and bring on these people, and they're thinking of defense instead of offense. They're
Yeah.
thinking of cost savings instead of how do I grow the revenue and grow the EBITDA.
Mhm.
So, like for example, $120,000 salaried NP or PA can probably bring in $400,000 of revenue.
Wow, is that right?
That
Wow.
that is the ratio. So
Wow.
that's
Incredible.
the next thing is you're good at being a visionary, you're good at, patient care,
Mhm.
but you may not be the good at operations or business. So we need to have sort of practice managers, office managers, or even like, operations directors in place and
Yeah.
think of this as a mini COO.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you do this one move will essentially triple or quadruple your revenue over the next 2 to 3 years if you do this. Because what happens is all the stuff that's in your head, all
Yeah.
the stuff that stresses you out, that's someone else's zone of genius. It's your zone of competence at best, maybe zone of excellence if I had to be nice to you,
Yes.
but probably not your zone of genius. And
Yes.
why? You didn't go to business school.
Yeah.
You don't have that personality. You don't have the systems in place. You haven't done it before. Someone
Mm.
else has.
Mm.
Leverage them.
Yeah.
So if you do, so this is how you free up the founder. Technology, AI, scribes, rid of the documentation. Number two, start making sure that for that same hour, you have three people working instead of just you, and
Mm.
then bring on an operations head. Because it's all about constraints, Bob. In any business, I don't care what business you have, there's always 3 to 4 main constraints. It's the mindset of the CEO, the owner.
Yeah.
Number two, the constraint is leads or lead generation, which Hoot is fantastic. I wish I had Hoot when I had my Vitology Institute clinic
Yeah.
because I probably could have 10x that clinic by then.
Right. Right.
Um, that's leads.
Yeah.
The third is bandwidth,
Yes.
right? Fulfillment of the need, and that's usually physicians or extenders.
Mm.
And the last one is operations.
Yes.
If these are the four constraints, and any one time you're going to hit the plateau, and it's one of these constraints, and you solve for that, that's normal. And then what happens is you grow again, and then you hit another plateau.
Mm.
Then you grow again, hit another plateau. So this is what business is like, and you just have to accept that and then address these constraints along the way.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. In fact, it's interesting you say that because I spoke to recently a COO of a large practice. They had 6 locations. The owner of the practice, this doctor, is a wonderful guy, and I never met him. I was hired. We were hired by the COO, and she is amazing. She's sharp, she's on point, she's business focused, and she basically takes away. I mean, he's kind of the artist, I suppose, in the business, and she's kind of the manager leader. And I know another business, and they're in Kansas, if I recall, and they also have a COO, another practice. Again, the COO job is really essential. And I love that concept because not everyone's going to be good at doing certain things, hiring people, firing people, incentive plans, all that is now becoming really very sophisticated, right? More and more of this is becoming sophisticated. And as a doctor, you can't possibly be drafting plans and incentive plans and bonuses and hiring sheets and all of that. So I love this idea. Do you have a playbook, by the way, Vikram? Because I think what you've developed here is something really interesting. I want to know more. I want to know more.
Yeah, yeah. This is all, a lot of our this is called the Limitless Wealth Curriculum. This is what I teach all my doctors and entrepreneurs who come through my program. But yeah, I want to just share whatever I can with your audience for sure. And then, I'm just going to hint at what's happening. So we're going to do Unlocking Financial Freedom is my 3-day
Mm.
masterclass, or if you will, over 2 weeks, where I teach all these principles for free.
Wow.
And there'll be a link that I think you'll provide for a lot of these guys. It will start on May 16th. But guys, I want you guys to know all this. And if you can just learn this from here and apply it, perfect. If you want more help, we can talk about what that looks like.
Yeah.
But let me keep going because I want to really make
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
I
yeah.
squeeze the juice out of our time together.
Absolutely.
But it's really the next thing is there's a 5 buckets where you can get more patients from.
Okay.
And this is where our mindsets are very synergistic. So one, you guys know paid ads and funnels. Awesome. That's
Yeah.
a good one. Many doctors are not there yet. Number two is organic content, right? You want to start educating, teaching, explaining, becoming a thought leader in this space. Number three is referrals, right? You want to get referrals, internal referrals and external referrals. Then there's affiliates, and who do I mean? Like pharma reps, vendors, service providers, things like that. And the final one is your current patients. They're your best marketing, advertisements out there. You want to make sure that they reduce the no-shows. You want to upsell them to cash things, or give them services that they need that they're going somewhere else for that you already have in your own clinic.
Yeah.
And this is where, the educational platform you guys are created in Hoot. This is
Yeah.
very important because if you pre-educate the patients and they understand why
Mhm.
and then they understand how and how this makes sense and it fits in with everything, they'll say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially, I always say this that there's buried treasure in the EHR. There's thousands of patients that we haven't seen in your practice that are having a problem with something, and you've got a new treatment and you haven't talked to them about it yet, right? And this is a big issue, is that a lot of doctors have started doing, private pay, some sort of concierge, private pay, premium service, right? Premium service. Thousands of, doctors are doing premium services today, right? And so the issue becomes is like you got to retarget. It's called retargeting. Retarget in marketing, we call it retargeting, which is you have a database, you have users, you have patients who love you and loyal to you, but they may not have seen you in a while. So that's bring them back for an exam. That's wonderful. But how do you create value for them with a new treatment? You've got to make that offer. You've got to reach out to them. You've got to say, hey, look, we're starting this new, PRP, big thing. Everyone, a lot of doctors doing PRP, right? It's specialized, it's complicated, it's out of pocket. It's very effective in so many diseases and so many issues. It's incredible. And so many doctors started offering it. And so the question is, how do you let your current patients know that you've got it? So I love that. I love this formula that you put together, Vikram. So getting leads, retargeting patients, getting referrals from pharma reps and so on. Actually, it's a great idea. Actually, we don't do that enough. Is the people who visit these offices go out or become spiders. They weave webs everywhere. There was this, I don't know if you recall Malcolm Gladwell's book, years ago. I forget the name, the title right now, but it's the one where he says, the hairdressers are the
I
one you want to talk to as
think
opposed to
Outliers. Was it
outlier, yeah,
Outliers? Yeah, yeah.
outliers, and or no, it was the other one where ideas spread very fast.
Oh, like
Yeah.
connectors or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I forget what it was called, but the notion was that you talk to hairdressers because guess what? All they're doing is speaking all day long as they're cutting hair.
yeah,
And so if you get one or two hairdressers, you're going to get a lot of patients because
yeah.
they're spreading the word. So I love that. And that's a new way to think about patient acquisition is it's a different strategy. It doesn't really cost a lot of money. And there's a lot of leverage that you can have with it. So I love that. Do you have some examples and
Yeah,
stories?
yeah. Well, I have a great
Yeah.
example. I wanted
Okay.
to just talk about. So Bob mentioned there's gold in your EHR. Let me share with you a story that actually illustrates that.
Yeah.
So one of my coaching clients, he's a family medicine doctor. He's based in Texas, and he started learning about other alternative practice. He's sort of not bored of his family practice, but he's like, all right, I've maximized as much as I can. It's successful. I'm making good money, but like, what's next, right? And that's the question that you're ready to be a doctorpreneur when you ask. You're in your mid-career, your 30s, 40s, maybe early 50s, and you're like, what's next, right? Because every time you have undergrad, medical school,
Yeah.
residency, fellowship, and
Right.
then super specialty, and then attending, you always had something. And now you're in this like thing where, hey, this is what you're supposed to do for the next 30 to 40 years,
Right.
but not necessarily. So he asked a good question. He asked what's next. So what's next was he wanted to get into the wellness space. So he started with something simple as weight loss, like
Yeah.
with the GLP-2 injections, and then he started doing longevity with hormones and peptides, and he wants to go into like NAD and other things like that. So what he did was, and he wanted to just go out and start marketing,
Yeah.
and I was like, wait a minute, let's think about this in another way. You already have all the patients you need probably for the next 3 years in your own practice. You have like a panel of, I don't know, 5,000 patients,
Yeah.
7,000 patients or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, let's start it. So then he started doing an internal marketing campaign, which I think Bob mentioned, use the word retargeting, but it's like, yeah, it's almost like an awareness campaign. And
Right.
it's not even like you don't need to hard sell these people. They know, like, and trust you. They KLT you, know, like, and trust.
That's right.
So it's just about awareness. Most doctors' problems is obscurity.
Yeah.
It's really not anything else. People just don't know that you have these offerings.
That's right.
And then if there's any resistance, which I doubt, but if there is, then the educational platforms, which like,
Yeah.
what Bob's team and other people provide, that's how they just get pre-educated. They're like, "Oh, that's when I would need your services." Got it. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And so now after a year of launching, he made $300,000 extra income doing the wellness side. And then this year, he's on track for 1 million.
Wow. That's incredible. I love that. And that's like really very little external marketing,
Yeah.
right? This is all internal marketing. I love that. It's a great story. We have another similar story, very similar to that, is that there's a Minneapolis doctor. She started doing this new treatment. And I said, what about all those patients who were eligible last couple of years? And so we ran a Hoot campaign for her. We call it a Saw You a While Ago campaign, which is basically it sends the patient a message saying, hey, Vikram, I saw you a while ago. We talked about this problem that you might have. Hey, I want to share with you a video about our new service that we've got. By the way, this problem is enhanced if you do this, that, and the other. And then check out the second video about the treatment and how it works. And in 7 weeks, okay, not even 7 weeks. Actually, it was 2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks. She had 7 patients sign up immediately. It was something like
Wow.
$1,600 or almost $2,000 for the treatment. In 2 weeks, she had 7 patients sign up immediately. And it was all because it's a numbers game. You
Yeah.
send out this many messages, 50% are not going to do anything, but then you've got 20, 30% who are actually going to show up and then to get your treatment. And then those lead to others and others. So I think there's a real power to being very strategic, Vikram. I think which is what you're suggesting doctors think about is not just do the hamster wheel of whatever it takes continuously just to get by, but really reflect and think differently. Isn't that what
Yeah.
this is all about?
Absolutely. And there's two types of doctors, Bob. And I want to talk about some of the models that I recommend for some physicians based on their capabilities. I think if you have the capability to be pure cash based, that's the holy grail. That's ideal.
Yeah,
But there's a cost, and the cost is you have to embrace marketing. You
yeah,
have to be really good. And I'll give you an example. I have a plastic surgeon client of mine. He's in Beverly Hills. He is, I think, 100,000 Instagram followers. People love him. He's really good. He's charismatic,
mm,
and he's figured out how to market. So he's predominantly pure cash.
mm,
Now I have this guy. I have other guys who are like, they're not the greatest marketers. And so what I recommend for those people is the hybrid practice model, which is essentially you start with the insurance model, and you cherry pick the insurances that make sense for you. You don't need to
yep,
take all of them,
yep,
but take some insurance. They come in for whatever the service is, and let's say it's a cardiologist who has like a wellness practice as well. Like maybe it's advanced lab testing. Maybe
mhm,
it's more preventive cardiology, proactive cardiology, kind of thing.
mhm,
So they come in for the typical cardiology referral. He sees them, and then with education and then explanation, he says, "Hey, by the way, I have this side of my practice where if you really want to get off the statins, I'll show you how. We have a 12-week program where we go off the statins, you improve your insulin sensitivity, and
yep,
your percent body fat goes down, and it's a nutrition, weight loss, whatever fitness program. So then they either come in that side, and it's like a package you sell, or you're selling a membership model. Maybe they have better appointment times. It's a concierge, kind of practice, and so they come in through the insurance door, but you keep them on the other side and the wellness side. So
yeah,
that's a nice model too,
yeah.
and it serves a lot of physicians who are not necessarily the best marketers out there.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, this is our sweet spot, Vikram. You've highlighted the exact profile of the doctors we work with, which is they have got a large, comprehensive primary care practice of some sort, right? Whether it's eye care or, dentistry or so on, right? But then a portion of their business is increasingly becoming private pay specialized because there are more and more specialty services today because we have more special problems today than ever before. And we have more solutions for that. So, in fact, that works really well because your marketing expenses are actually a lot lower than if you were to go out and acquire those new customers, right? Or new patients. So, you don't want to necessarily need to do Google ads or Facebook ads. You need to just market to the people you have and
Yes.
market them a certain service based on certain things. So I love that example. What do you call it? Vikram, what term do you use
I
to
call it the hybrid practice model.
hybrid? I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we
Yeah.
do really well increasingly. And I think that there's also, you continue to serve the ones you have with the primary needs, and then you set up this other way to do that. Shafali, my wife, whom you know, has done that very well in her practice, in her clinic. She used to hate going on trips because she was always taking work with her. We would go on vacations. She was so unhappy and she was so dissatisfied. She's like, I did not sign up to, be exhausted all the time and be glued to my practice and chained to my practice. Whenever there was a review or whatever, or a patient call or somebody called out sick, she was just angry and upset and just very unhappy. And today she's so much happier doing this hybrid model, which you explained really well, and it's working really well for her. But she's so much more happier than she was, and has a lot more freedom. So I think there's a lot of freedom that goes with it. So tell us, Vikram, what's next? What's the next
Yeah.
phase
So
of,
the next,
of building
this is sort
something?
of the culmination of it all. This
Yeah.
is helping physicians go from being a producer to an investor.
Mm.
And so what I consider physicians is we make three trades usually in our career. At the beginning, we're trading, time for money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how we all start. No problem. Don't stay there. Next, you trade money for time, right? So you start buying back your time. We've talked about that and learning to use leverage. And the last trade is trading money for money. So what
Mm.
do I mean by that? Well, you know, the
Mm.
most wealthiest physicians did not get there just by seeing patients, right? Let's be honest. They learned to become entrepreneurs. They learned to buy medical offices. They've learned to do the private equity model. They roll up clinics and then eventually flip to private equity. Or they've used the wealth that they've acquired in medicine and deployed it intelligently. And
Mm.
so that's what I want to talk about. You can, if you don't own your own real estate, the dirt under which your clinic is on, that may be a good opportunity to get started,
Mm.
and it's very low risk. Uh, Now, there's investments such as private equity where you could invest, not necessarily in medicine, but in anything that's an option. If you have an expertise you can create a side hustle, a consultants. There's a book called $1 Million Consulting by Alan Weiss. It's a really smart book on how you can leverage yourself as a high-powered
Hmm.
consultant. Um, but Tony Robbins and Ray Dalio talk about this idea of the holy grail of investing, and that's really about creating a portfolio of, call it, 6 to 8 non-correlated assets that if you invest intelligently across this portfolio, it's an all-weather portfolio that will stand the test of time. And I know all of us are exposed to stocks because it's a very entry-level investment class, which is great. So I think that some research showed, like, I don't know, over 20 years, if you invested, I don't know what the initial, you have to forgive me, I don't have the initial amount. I think it was like, I don't know, 2 million or something.
Hmm.
You'd eventually make it onto 36 million over a certain number of years.
Hmm.
But that same amount invested in private equity would make 135 million.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So
I mean,
just
yeah, the stock
learning,
market.
learning that
Yeah.
there's different multiples, there's learning that there's different ways, and no one thing is right. If you feel some exposure to crypto makes sense, yes. And the key is just learning to harness the capital and the cash, the excess you've created, and making it work for you through compounding in these different asset classes and vehicles.
Mm.
And if you don't know, then get education on it, get some support on it. But this will allow you to fast track your retirement
Mhm.
and allow you to achieve that financial independence and freedom that we all want.
Mhm.
And then you get to play for fun. Then it's for fun.
Right, right. I love it. I love this model that you've created because it makes sense. I think it starts, from here and it goes all around. And I think going to the economic freedom portion of it, investing is really important. I think a lot of us freeze because which we don't know like what's the best thing to do. And I think in the stock market, generally speaking, people, they invest and they don't make enough and they get frustrated and they start taking risk and then, it goes down. So to me, I look at the market, and I say, look, I can't compete against these high frequency traders and algorithms that know a lot more than I do about particular stocks. So I like many, I go to private equity or other funds because they're professional investors, and that's where they're going to go. They're going to do a lot better. I used to think that I was a pretty good investor until I lost a lot of money and I was like, I'm an idiot. I have no idea what's going on. And so I'll leave it to somebody else to do that. But
Yeah.
tell us, Vikram, tell us, first of all, I want to know about that class that you're offering. When is
Yes.
that class? When is that training? I know what are the dates and how can people sign up for that? Because I want to offer
Yeah.
that to the audience here. If you're a doctor, you know one who needs to do better with their money and their financial freedoms, you need to go to this class. So, Vikram, tell
So
us.
in the chat box, my team member Rohan, who's my director of marketing, he put the I did promise your audience my book,
Yes.
and so that is a free copy of the book that people can download right away. It's called perfectweekmd.com. If you go to the website there, it's in the chat. So it's perfectweekmd.com. You can have a free copy of my book, which is I have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfectweekmd.com.
So this is the book. It's called Perfect Week
Oh,
Formula for Doctors. They
wow.
can download the book for free, and if they want a physical copy, there's a way to do that there as well. So it's my gift to all your audience. Please go ahead and grab that book from us. Number two, guys, I really would, if you like, if this anything I've talked about, if it hit, if it landed, if it resonated with you and you want to learn more, I'm gonna go all in. This
Mm.
was just like a sampler platter. We got a little bit of hummus and maybe some baba ganoush, but I'm gonna give you the full kebabs and everything,
Yeah.
or falafel if you're vegetarian. And we're gonna do unlockingfinancialfreedom.com/hoot, and there's a hyphen between unlocking and financial freedom. Okay,
Got it.
so the link is in there. Please click on it. Please join us. I would love to have you as a guest and just listen in on all the stuff we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And you're going to really learn a ton. It's going to be sort of a mini physician MBA, if you will.
That's awesome. I love it. And then, what are the ways in which people work with you, Vikram, in terms of, I presumably you do a lot of coaching, programs and retreats. Tell us a little bit about your practice of helping other doctors become limitless. Tell us about that.
Yeah, yeah. I created Limitless because I wanted something like this when I was growing up, and then, I've been
Yeah.
blessed to be around a lot of different people, Bob, like you and I. We've
Yeah.
been to Tony Robbins, we've been to all these really smart, folks out there.
Yeah.
And I wanted something that was uniquely for doctors.
Yeah.
And so I created Limitless MD as a platform to really help doctors become masters of their time and their finances. And then it evolved into some of the other things that we've mentioned, vitality and relationships and all the other good stuff. But really, it's for doctors who are ambitious.
Mm,
It's doctors who want more, who are asking what's next,
mm,
and they're tired of going to the doctors' lounges and hearing all the negativity out there and thinking their profession is doomed. No, you to be a doctor takes so much courage and
yeah,
excitement and sacrifice. Might as well take that and use those same skills, that MD edge, I call it, and become a really next level success. And that's what Limitless MD will allow you to do.
yeah.
So what I do is we work with people and we have a couple of masterminds
Mm,
and like really philosophically aligned tribe
mhm.
of doers,
Yes.
of adventurers,
Mm,
of people who want to scale clinics, who want to get into real estate, who want to, start, some kind of coaching, consulting, or some kind of entrepreneurship. And it's hard to find those kind of people, especially in our population. And so we bring them together. There's also we offer one-on-one coaching as well, and we bring in speakers. We have podcasts. We have content and books and curriculum. So
mm,
it's a whole ecosystem.
yeah.
It's sort of
Yeah.
a universe for this
Yeah.
um, aggressive, ambitious,
Mhm.
entrepreneur-minded doctor.
Yeah, I know, I love it. And so what we want to try to do, folks, if you're just, if you're here and you're disillusioned, we want to take that and do jujitsu on that disillusionment and really, make it into a desirable outcome for you, which means to live a life of freedom, and fun and meaning and contribution at the same time. And I think it's really important. It's like I suppose the thing is that this is, I mean, first of all, this is very timely, Vikram. I think it's really important. I see more and more doctors, I hear are frustrated, and I think you're offering something really, really valuable and powerful. People need instruction on how to do that. People not just need inspiration, but they need instruction. They need someone who has been in that path before. So it's really powerful to be able to do that. So I thank you for that. I want to kind of wrap up in the next couple of minutes by asking you, like some advice, real specific advice for
Mhm.
someone who is maybe has 10 more years in medicine. Let's just say 10 more years. I don't know, maybe less, maybe more. Let's say 10 years in practicing, and they're just beat up. They're
Yeah.
just beat up, and they're just, they might have put on some weight, and they're just in this cycle, right? And it's just this machine that they have to show up to for patients tomorrow morning. How do you break away from that machine? How do you kind of peak a little bit and get out of that situation? Because to go from that, because they've got momentum, right? It's not headed in a good place, but it's still momentum. And
Yeah.
so how do they get to a place where you are, where you say, you know what, life is amazing? How do you?
Yeah. I think one is celebrate where they are. Like, so let's assume it's like a 55-year-old person or 50-year-old person. Maybe they've been in their practice for almost 15 years now, pretty successful. I know they got probably a storehouse of income or capital sitting aside, and they're just waiting for the day they can call it in.
Yes,
What I would say is, okay, first, you before we can scale your clinic, scale your wealth, you got to scale your mindset.
yes,
So we got to say, all right, who are you? What are you really? And you say, oh, I'm an oncologist. No, that's your job. But
yeah,
who are you really? Figuring out it's a little bit of that inner work.
yes,
Once we understand that, it's like,
yes,
okay, what is it you want? Let's say you're financially independent. Let's say I gave you a $30 million check. What
mm,
would you do with the rest of your life? That next answer will
mm,
help us define what they need to start leaning into. Hey,
mm,
I've still practiced medicine, but I wouldn't work this many
mm,
hours. I'd probably work 2 days a week because I want to see my daughters grow up.
yeah,
Okay, now I got it. So now we know what's important to them. All right, so they want the money, but that's not the end game. They want to live a fulfilling life.
mm,
And then it's like, all right, are you an owner or an operator, right? How do we make that mindset shift? Can we get your clinic to actually be worth something? Here's a crazy statistic, Bob. I would say 75% of people walk away from their clinic with no asset value.
wow, are you serious?
Yes.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
Wow.
they work so hard, 20, 30 years on these clinics,
Yeah.
and because they don't know how to
Yeah.
make it into a true asset,
Yes.
they just, okay, here, you can buy my charts, or
Mm,
oh,
mm,
they'll sell it to the hospital for like, pennies.
yeah. Yeah.
But uh,
Yeah.
so, and then it's formulating this, whatever their practice, into
Mm,
weaponize it, make it into an asset,
yes.
and then create leverage with
Mm,
getting people on board and buy back their time.
mm.
If the only thing I could do is give doctors their Fridays off for the rest of their life, I think that'd be huge.
Dude, go take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. So
I'll take it.
never having to work ever a Friday again. I think that's an easy, low-hanging fruit that I think we can get all doctors for sure.
That's amazing.
And then look, how do you earn the same amount of income by working half the hours, right?
Yes.
There's sort of strategies there. And then, some people, you can start layering in, like, if they're not an owner, maybe they have to explore locums, they have to explore telemedicine options.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things out there. So, um, and if they really want to pivot outside of medicine, then come up with a really discrete game plan so we can help them do that if they want to explore something else.
Yeah.
So I, I I would love for physicians to practice medicine forever, but just do it the way they want.
Yeah.
Now, if people want things outside, we can also help them to do that as well.
Terrific, terrific. If you are a storehouse of knowledge, insight, advice, instruction, and inspiration, Vikram, it's been terrific speaking with you today. I am so delighted to know you, to getting to know you even more. As I learned a lot today. You gave me a lot of substance, which is actionable, right? It's like do this, do this. Here's the kind of way you think about it. Here's a framework for it. So I really appreciate that. I know our doctors will appreciate that for sure. We're going to send this out to all our community, all our doctors, all our network, and Hoot, of course, as well. Is there anything else you want to share before we go and say goodbye? Because it's been super, super useful. Anything you want to share, Vikram? Anything else you think that?
Yeah, I guess the last thing is, I believe in our profession. I believe in our doctors. I believe in the MDs out there and the physicians and the other, that the full health professionals. It's never too late to reinvent yourself.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
I
just
love
make
it.
the decision, make the declaration, and let's go.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. I love it. Vikram, where can people find you? Like, what's your website, your podcast, and all that? Tell us.
So my podcast is called the Limbless MD Podcast. Bob was on, was a guest on there. You definitely want to listen to that episode. But that's my podcast. My website, vikramraya.com, vikramraya.com, and it's a connection to everything. In all my socials are also there as well. So
Amazing.
please check that out. My Instagram is at Vikram Raya. Check that out as well. But yeah, you guys can find me anywhere. I'd be happy to support you guys in anything you're doing. Just reach out. Obviously, you get the book, and then obviously, would love for you guys to attend our free event we're doing over the next 2 weeks, where we're going to really just share all these strategies and much, much more.
Terrific. Thank you, Vikram. Thank you so much. If you're a doctor and you're disillusioned, you've got to start now. And this is the time. And someone if you're waiting for lightning or a sign from above, here he is. Okay. Here he is. His name is Dr. Vikram Raya. Okay, reach out to him. We'll send you the links and everything, but this is it. This is it, folks. If you've been itching and something in the back of your mind that's saying, this feels like the time for me to do something different with my life, and I don't know where to begin now. This is your sign. So, folks, it's been a terrific pleasure speaking with Dr. Raya, Vikram Raya. Thank you so much, Vikram, for your time. My name is Bob Miglani. Vikram, have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll look forward to speaking to you soon. Good luck with everything, and let
Yeah.
come back and tell us how things are going. Okay,
Yeah.
just want to keep in touch.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Have
Appreciate
a
you
good
guys.
day.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Bye bye.